John, Brandon, I had a really sobering thought over the weekend. You want to know what that sobering thought was?
Tell us.
I was sitting there just minding my own business playing Age of Imprisonment, and I'm just having a great time, great game, really enjoying it. But then I had this like wave of kind of like wistfulness wash over me, and I'm like, you know what? This is probably, maybe, but probably the last gasp of this era of Zelda that we might ever see, starting, of course, with Breath of the Wild way, way back in the legendary year of 2017. But it's been almost 10 years, and I was thinking, like, man, this era of Zelda, this version of all these, of Zelda and Link and all these characters, this version of Hyrule, this may be it, the last gasp. And I started thinking, like, we should talk about this, because it's kind of weird to think about. We've had so long to get used to this era of Zelda that now might be drawing to a close, and I'm just wondering, how are we feeling about this?
It's kind of wild, isn't it? Because this is such a formative era for Nintendo and Zelda. Because before Breath of the Wild, like, Zelda games sold well. They sold, pretty routinely well, but never bombastically. Like, the best-selling games were Ocarina of Time and Twilight Princess, both of which have been on multiple Nintendo platforms. But they were always like at a limit of around 10 million. Whereas Breath of the Wild went on to sell like 30 million.
Right.
And Tears of the Kingdom, like another 20 million. That made it an all-star highest Nintendo property. A crazy success. And
go ahead.
I'll say crazy success, and it sort of revolutionized Zelda from a gameplay standpoint too, taking it beyond just that Ocarina blueprint.
Right.
And making something that a whole other era of games would be inspired by.
I think when you examine those sales numbers, it's important to realize as well that for a lot of players, Breath of the Wild is Zelda to them. That was their introduction to Zelda. That's what they think of when they hear the name Zelda. And I think Nintendo was smart to capitalize on Breath of the Wild's success and let us exist in that world for a while, to service those new fans, as well as get them ready for the eventual swap to a new world or new Hyrule. I remember I've been watching a lot of Smosh lately, and one of the guys there, Shane, got really into Zelda with Breath of the Wild, loves Tears of the Kingdom, and I heard him talk about Echoes of Wisdom and how bad that game was to him.
What? That's a take.
And I know it kind of
Wow.
perked my ears up. It shocked me, and I realized, oh, you might be one of those people who entered Zelda with Breath of the Wild.
Right.
So your opinions and the way you view the series is going to be wildly different than someone like the three of us. So I think it's going to be a struggle, maybe in some respects, for Nintendo to recapture a lot of those newer fans. It really depends on what form this new open air 3D Zelda takes. But for me, I'm a long-standing Zelda fan. There's not really a game in the bunch I dislike. But it's been so fun and so cool for me to get to sit with these characters for so long, these iterations.
Yeah.
These are the most realized versions of Link and Zelda we've ever had. And it's because we've gotten to have so much time with them. Link even has remnants of a personality because he's been more directly integrated into the plot. Zelda herself, this is by far my favorite version of Zelda. Yeah. She has so much character growth. Her arc in Breath of the Wild is great. I don't care what people say. I think that part of the story is what made it for me. And I'm going to be sad to say goodbye. I do want to see what's next for Zelda, but there's this version of Hyrule now that I've grown really affectionate towards. And I don't want to see it go in its entirety.
Yeah.
It's been funny because I think I see Hyrule as a character in Breath of the Wild. And I like a lot of the story threads that are told through just environmental storytelling, like seeing a demolished town and interpreting what that means. And then Zelda Notes went along and just told you everything. Like every part of the world has an actual story there, and that was cool.
Yeah.
But it's not really the story that I hold dear in Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. Like these are such free-form games that you play how you want and make your own adventures. So the story is a tiny slither on a massive pie chart. Like you have like 0.5% story and then 99.5% gameplay. That's what these games have always been to me, and I cherish those moments of finding my own stories to make and tell. And that's incredibly special, and it makes this world of Hyrule really unique compared to other Zelda overworlds. And that's really what I'm gonna miss.
Well, I will you miss? I mean, will there be anything to miss though? Because Eiji Aonuma has gone on the record saying before that the open air style of Zelda introduced with Breath of the Wild is not going anywhere probably. So I would, if I had to venture a guess, if we're not going to have a third go around in this version of Hyrule, and I think we're probably not, I still think we're going to get for the next big 3D mainline Zelda, it's going to be another open air adventure. I would think, don't you?
I think you have to reinvent it again.
That you do somehow, yeah. And how do you do that?
Yeah. There was already a third drop off with Tears of the Kingdom. Because Breath of the Wild 30 million, Tears of the Kingdom 20 million.
Right.
I think businessmen are going to say that's not growth. That's reduction.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's reasons. It was a late Switch game. But I think you generally do see a little less interest. Like with Age of Imprisonment, the hype wasn't really there pre-launch. I bet it's selling really well, but you didn't really get like, I must have this in the same way Age of Calamity kind of had. I think it's a bit more of the same. It's this world again. It's these characters again. And we do need that new flavor to sort of reach that sort of 30 million figure again.
Bringing it back to Echoes of Wisdom, I do find it kind of interesting that a lot of folks just kind of almost act like that game didn't happen.
Cowards. We call them cowards, not folks. Cowards.
Cowards.
Yeah. Yep. It's not like this is the only version of Hyrule we've had since 2017. It's been the main one, but I think it'd be a disservice to Echoes of Wisdom to not at least mention it.
Yeah.
We've also had the remake of Link's Awakening too, which was
and
nice.
Cadence of Hyrule.
Cadence of Hyrule. Right. Right.
True.
Yeah. It is hard to imagine though. It's weird. Like I'm not. I liked Breath of the Wild, loved Tears of the Kingdom. I'm not necessarily down for a third go-around in this version of Hyrule, but at the same time, I am going to miss these characters. Kind of like you were saying, Brandon, this version of Zelda, this version of Link, they're so well realized, all the surrounding characters, the champions, the sages, in all the eras of Hyrule. I just really, it's hard to imagine Nintendo going back to scratch, and of course they're probably going to. But we were talking earlier about this being some people's entry into Zelda, and I'm thinking of kids who are maybe 7, 8 years old getting into Zelda.
Don't say this to me.
Breath of the Wild. But now, almost 10 years later, those kids are now almost 18, and they're what must that be like for them?
This
growing
is their childhood game.
With this version of Zelda, right?
Retro game Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, retro. God, that makes me sick to my
It's
stomach.
already gotten an HD remaster.
Oh, man, yeah. But yeah, it's just really, it's almost hard to imagine a new era of Zelda after this. And of course, there will be we're getting the movie. The movie's going to come out in a couple of years, and there's going to be a new mainline 3D game. There probably is a departure, but it really is the end of an era, and I'm weirdly sad about it. I could, if they could somehow shake up the setting and not have me explore the same Hyrule again, I wouldn't even mind having a third game in this era with these versions of these characters. We could somehow maybe go on a pilgrimage and discover something new. But yes, of course, I don't necessarily want to explore this version of Hyrule a third time.
No, I'm totally there with you. Tears of the Kingdom, when I first played it, I had such high praise for that game because it was exceptional, and it still is exceptional. But I think with Breath of the Wild, you finish it, and you just get to take in the world for as long as you want. You get to roam around, discover everything, and it's really, it hits you so hard.
Right.
Tears of the Kingdom, once you finish that story, you get a really high, and then you're left in the world again. and it's a bit different. The mechanics are different. You get the sky, you get the depths, but that evergreen feeling of I'm going to be playing this game every day for the rest of the year sunk away pretty fast for me. And I think it's because it's the same world again. I didn't feel the same need to explore everywhere like I did Breath of the Wild. So we definitely do need something new after this.
Right.
Yeah, and I do think there's value in having a version of the world that's changed over the course of like 6 in-game years or whatever, and that on its own is cool. But, that is I would say it is a symptom of Tears of the Kingdom originally being a DLC for Breath of the Wild. I'm happy that it happened. Tears of the Kingdom, like John said, had some incredibly high highs.
That's for sure.
Especially in that finale. I was feeling that finale for days afterwards.
Oh, same. Yeah.
Mechanically, games just don't exist like Tears of the Kingdom.
Right.
Every single one of those abilities could be its own game. It's crazy that something like Ascend works.
I know.
Just going through anything, like it doesn't glitch out.
Yeah.
It's crazy that you can just fuse anything or rewind time or do the Ultra Hand and then rewind. They shouldn't all work and they shouldn't all work in tandem, but they do.
I remember the first time I ascended from somewhere in the depths to the surface, and I got the feeling when I did it that I was doing something I shouldn't be allowed to do. I was like, is the game going to crash? Am I doing something that I shouldn't be? Did I break the game somehow? But it just works. You go straight from the depths to the surface, and you're just there in real time. It's crazy.
Tears of the Kingdom's abilities, and way more so than Breath of the Wild, feel like essential gameplay mechanics that future games are just going to use. Like, an ability like Ascend gives you so much freedom of exploration. Like, I was playing games after Tears of the Kingdom, and muscle memory was taking over, and I was like, oh, I can get up there by ascending. And I'm like, oh, no, I'm playing a different game right now.
Right.
That's crazy. Like, if you can give praise to anything about Tears of the Kingdom, it's those new gameplay mechanics are really, really strong.
Yeah. I mean, most games could never have that. Because it's built off Breath of the Wild, that's a game that's in development for a long time. It felt like most of Tears of the Kingdom's development went on those core mechanics. You can't do that from scratch. So it's going to be super interesting to see what they do next. But it's also all coming from Wii U tech as well.
True.
Like, Breath of the Wild was a Wii U game originally, built from scratch from the Wii U. Tears of the Kingdom is a Switch game, but it's still using that base of Breath of the Wild. So we are not just really getting a one generational jump. It's kind of like a generational and a half kind of jump, whatever's next. I have no clue what they're going to do, but...
That's the thing. Like, if you're Nintendo and you've seemingly kind of... And I'm sure, this is Nintendo. I'm sure they've got all sorts of crazy ideas we haven't even fathomed. But, like, if you're Nintendo and it seems like you've developed yourself into this kind of weird corner where Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild were just so genre and series defining, where do you go, literally? I mean, you can't use the open air thing again. I mean, open world games are a dime a dozen now. The people are expecting the next game to be open air or whatever you want to call it. So you can't really lean on that again. You've got to have some sort of new surprise, and I really don't know what that could possibly be once you've introduce what you did with Breath of the Wild and then turn that on to Tears of the Kingdom, and you can build whatever you want. You can build constructs. It's crazy. Ascend. What is what could they do that would have that same impact, right?
I don't want to undervalue the open air concept also.
Sure.
You look at all the games that have attempted open air, and none of them really match that magic of discovery in Breath of the Wild. The closest experience I've had to that since launch was Elden Ring.
Sure. Yeah.
And I think that, for me, is like, that already gets me like 50% of the way there. If they can recreate that first like 20 hours of Breath of the Wild where the world is just a big question mark to me.
Yeah.
Like, that alone would be incredible. Like, Tears of the Kingdom, we're rediscovering a map we already understand and already know, and we're here to see what's changed. But with a new game, that's a whole new world with its own set of mysteries and discoveries to find. Like, that alone takes a lot of the hype that I need, and makes me excited. But I think there will be some other like genre-defining like gameplay mechanic. They're going to do something weird and unexpected in addition to that.
I mean, that's what Zelda is at this point. It's how do you turn the adventure genre on its head? Because they did go through a few years of treading water. Every Zelda game's good. I can't think of a single bad one, but there was a time where it was very much, this is what Zelda is, we're going to keep doing it. And it was kind of a flat line performance-wise. And with Breath of the Wild, they changed everything. And I think you've come to expect just industry-defying design from Zelda. So if you were to just do Breath of the Wild again in a new world, it would be great. People would love it. It would probably review really well, but it wouldn't get that viral sensation that Breath of the Wild had.
No,
so you do need some kind of crazy new idea, and that's hard to conceptualize on a podcast like this. But like, I'm sure there's gonna be something crazy.
Are we going to space? Is it going to go full sci-fi? Are we going?
We'll do the alien thing from the concept art. Get Link on his goofy little bike.
Exactly.
I guess we did the bike already, didn't we?
I think there are some gameplay elements of Breath of the Wild that may just vanish entirely. Like, I think like a core gameplay mechanic that's so integral to that experience is weapons and the way they break. Mm-hmm. So many people hate the weapons breaking, but I think you can't have Breath of the Wild without that mechanic.
No, it's core to it.
Yeah, I agree.
I would not be surprised if the next 3D Zelda game does away with that and finds a new way to make Link struggle through his adventure.
Mm-hmm. What? It's hard to like conceptualize what that could possibly be, though, right?
I mean, we had no like idea what Breath of the Wild was going to be before we finally saw that gameplay demonstration.
Right.
I'm kind of expecting to have that moment again. I hope to have that moment again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally.
I mean, I still remember when Breath of the Wild was first revealed, of course, that E3, that tells you how long ago it was, that E3 where Breath of the Wild was first playable and playing it for the first time and watching other people play it for the first time, and how everyone had their own completely different experience, and how, as you said, Brandon, earlier, literally the whole world was a giant question mark. Like, it was unfathomable at the time to be playing a game like this where we're like, okay, we're getting this tiny little slice of this game that we're going to be playing, in a little bit, but literally everything about Zelda now is a question mark again. And what's really going on here? What is this all about? Like, it just engendered feelings in a game that I don't think I had really maybe felt since the original Zelda on NES, and I want to, as you were saying, feel that feeling again, but I just don't know how you do it again, how you recreate that.
I think one pillar that they never actually delivered on when presenting Breath of the Wild, I think it was with Wind Waker HD, they did like a little PowerPoint presentation being like, the future of Zelda, you're not going to have a linear path, you can do dungeons in any order. There was also a slide about not playing on your own, which was never a part of Breath of the Wild.
Right.
So I do wonder if that's in their back pocket about making more of a connected experience. And I don't know how I envision that. I like multiplayer Zeldas. I love Four Swords Adventures. I love Triforce Heroes. But I don't think that needs to be the whole point of a single-player Zelda.
Yeah.
I don't think they can afford to like build an entire 3D Zelda on that premise.
Yeah.
But there could be components of it, though.
Yeah.
Like, maybe... like in Souls, for instance, there's multiplayer. It's a single-player game, but multiplayer is part of it, with like sending messages, seeing people in the world, fighting invaders. It could be maybe people can like customize their own Hyrule in whatever way, and like those elements seep into everyone else's world or something like that. Maybe there's a way to just make it all entangled without necessarily interacting with other players.
Or maybe the game's like super timey-wimey, so like you get like ghosts of other Links from other eras, and they're just other players. There's a lot of ways they could approach it.
What you're saying sounds a little bit Death Stranding-ish, so we could be seeing our next big Strand-type game.
Maybe.
Yeah, but that would be a risky gamble, though, too, because there are a lot of people out there who don't really care for connected experiences, right? And playing online, multiplayer, really anything. They just want single player and that's it. So that would be a pretty risky gambit, I would think, to anchor the next big mainline 3D Zelda.
And it's a handheld system too, so you have to have an option to not be online.
Right.
100 links drop onto the Great Plateau.
There you go. We got it.
Yeah, I do crave like a smaller multiplayer Zelda experience still. I also crave like a 3D Zelda multiplayer experience because we've never gotten one.
True.
And I think there are ways you can do that without it commanding the entire experience. Maybe even just as a DLC. Like, I love the way that Portal 2 does it. There's an entire campaign where you play with a second player. And the whole game's
so
built
easy
around
for the
it.
shrines. The shrines are just like devoid
There you
from
go.
the open world. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I there's so many ways they could approach it. I just want them to try it. Like,
Sure.
let's dip our toes in the water and see what happens.
Yeah.
That feels like the one big thing they haven't really done yet. Going back to the story a little bit too, I would like for them to just settle on an accent for everybody.
Yeah.
Because in Breath of the Wild, most people are like general American. Then you've got Zelda and the King, who are not.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly what accent they're meant to. It's like kind of like a British hybrid, but I don't know why they speak like that, but no one else does. It's strange.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
And then the Zora, too, have kind of their own slightly different affect, like Mipha and Kia in Age of Imprisonment, even though Sidon doesn't, weirdly enough. Like, he doesn't.
Or King Dora fan.
But Mipha and Kia have a slight accent there, too, and it's really strange, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I quite like different races having different accents. I think that's cool.
Yeah,
they
same.
They don't standardize.
They should do that.
Don't standardize any of it.
No, it makes sense.
Yeah.
And and also story-wise too, one of the things I think Tears of the Kingdom improved massively on this front. But one of the challenges you deal with when you're developing an open-air game is having an ever-present narrative that is fulfilling in a linear sense, and you kind of lose that when you're having a non-linear approach to gameplay, as we saw with Breath of the Wild, with much of the story being optional. You can get all the memories out of order. Tears of the Kingdom is the same way, but I think they improved on that front in that game. But a lot of people did complain about the storytelling in Breath of the Wild, and I wonder, obviously with Nintendo, gameplay is king, that comes first, and they anchor the story around that. But I do wonder if they're going to shake up the storytelling in the next big, mainline 3D Zelda at all, because of the complaints that surrounding that part of Breath of the Wild. More Breath of the Wild than Tears of the Kingdom, I would say.
I struggle with this one a little bit more because I think for me, Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom's strength in its storytelling come from the fact that it's character driven. Like, yes, there is a thing that we are trying to do TM, but like Zelda's arc in Breath of the Wild is the thing I remember. Like her struggle to find her powers and, do I use technology? Do I try and do this thing that, my mother was supposed to teach me, but she's dead?
Right.
Like I really connected to that part of the experience. And I think that maybe was a symptom of nonlinear gameplay. They focus on a character-driven story because of that situation that they were put in. But I also understand, like, the people who want, like, the twists and turns and the fantasy and the stuff that go along with that. I just recently played through Ghost of Yotei, which is a very Breath of the Wild coded game.
Oh, yeah.
The way you progress the story is by, like, discovering information, by interrogating NPCs and just exploring the world. You don't just get like a marker on your map that tells you this is where the guy you have to go kill is. No, you got to find out where he is first. And I think maybe Zelda could take some lessons from that. Like, we don't need a story that took place in the past. We can have something that's present. And I think Ghost of Yotei proved that was possible. Obviously, it's new territory. You can't blame them for misstepping a little bit there because no one had ever done it before.
It's a very tricky balance because I think a big pillar of why Breath of the Wild went so viral is you can just do things in any order you want.
Right.
So you can go to Gerudo Desert, you can go to the Rito, you can go to the Gorons. And telling a story in a world where you can just go wherever you want and making it like a linearly told story is very difficult. And there probably are ways to improve it, but I think the way they went was a fine way to do it, because it's so gameplay heavy. So like the story is a reward for exploring, and if you were to have one that's sort of told in a solid strip, I think you do undermine what they were going for a bit there.
Yeah,
so it's one of those things that there isn't really a great solution, but with Tears of the Kingdom they kind of did it again, just told a more interesting or more. I think with Tears of the Kingdom they told a more threatening story. Breath of the Wild was like, this has all sort of happened already, whereas Tears of the Kingdom, you're very much... It's not an ongoing thing, even though it's in the past. It still kind of matters to the present.
Yeah, and also...
That's the key difference there.
And I think one thing that really Tears of the Kingdom benefited from was that not everything happened, as you said, just in the past. Like, you actually now get to spend time with these really cool characters that you want to spend time with. Like, I think one of the greatest things about Age of Calamity was that it really gave me time to properly spend time with these cool-ass champions and, like, play alongside them, with Link, and, like, be alongside them in the same time period, have them interact with each other, interact with Zelda, interact with Link.
Understand why they were champions to begin with.
Exactly.
Like, what made them special.
Yeah, because, like, with Breath of the Wild, I was like, man, all this cool stuff happened 100 years ago, and I'm craving more of these scenes with them interacting, because they're such cool-ass characters, right? And I think Tears of the Kingdom really benefited from having the sages in the present with you, like Riju and Sidon, and, they're fun, cool characters to get to, like, be alongside and exist in the world with. And
Link doesn't just get a medallion that says he got the power of that sage. That sage is with him, fighting alongside him.
Exactly, and Tears of the Kingdom really benefited from that, I think.
It's funny what Age of Imprisonment does, because Tears of the Kingdom's story in the past isn't that broad, so it's a way to expand it. But there also aren't that many characters other than like Rauru and Sonya and Zelda.
Right.
So they're like, remember Typhon? You guys remember Typhon?
It's so funny, man.
Yeah.
There's just random Hylian guy with big shield, and I'm like, you know what? You were in this war, probably.
Sure, Typhon.
I love that Typhon and I feel bad, the other guy, are introduced in that same mission where you're fighting the first Archfiend. Because I'm like, it's hard to imagine. Of course, there's Link, but then it's hard to imagine like just some random 2 Hylian soldiers and a Korok being able to take on this like, Archfiend. That's just something that usually would fall to Link and Zelda, right?
Yeah. Yeah, Age of Imprisonment is really cool, because it does expand upon Tears of the Kingdom story in a nice way, but you also feel like this is at first a Muso game, and a lot of these characters are an excuse just to have more playable characters in the game.
Right.
But
they tried to do it in a way that didn't make people mad this time.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. And I think it is neat to, like, see that there are other characters and soldiers and members of these clans that, are important. They're not just the chosen one trademark. These wars aren't fought alone.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's also a great era for Muso games, because with like Persona 5 Strikers and all the Zelda ones, they're able to basically make a spin-off that feels like the source material.
Yeah.
In the past, every Muso game was very much, this is Dynasty Warriors with the skin of the franchise you love. Whereas now, it's kind of indistinguishable visually. Like, Age of Imprisonment looks just like Tears of the Kingdom from a visual perspective. And they're able to really give you gameplay elements. Like, Dynasty Warriors formula is still in there. But it's super cool how they managed to merge the two. Like, you go back to the first Hyrule Warriors, and I think that's still one of my favorite ones, but it's very much a Dynasty Warriors game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, and you could tell, too, because, like, I actually really... I liked the original Hyrule Warriors, but I didn't really get into it the way I did Age of Calamity. Like, Age of Calamity, I hit 100%. I could not put that game down. I'm feeling that same itch with Age of Imprisonment, and I think it's because of that really... It as you said, John, it really does feel like a Zelda game with Muso elements incorporated into it. Like the way they incorporate things like... not just like the cooking ingredients and all the things you can gather in Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, but also like the Zonai devices, like the way they work those so well into the gameplay loop of Age of Imprisonment. It really feels like the Zelda DNA is in there. Same thing with like the user interface. The same typeface is used. The UI is very similar to Tears of the Kingdom, and it just feels really just demonstrably like an offshoot of those core Zelda games in a way that the original Hyrule Warriors, it felt like a Musou game was Zelda kind of grafted onto it, whereas these really feel as though they are Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom coded in their DNA, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they serve as companions to their respective games, and you feel that when you play them. That even extends to like some of the musical motifs. Like you get those little vocalizations from Tears of the Kingdom, like the reversed ones, in some of the battle themes. And every time I hear one of those, I'm like, yeah, this is Tears of the Kingdom Warriors.
Oh yeah. when I first did the first like Hebra region battle yesterday, I was like, oh, I hear Rito Village, I hear Dragon Roost Island, here we go. Like, it has some of those leitmotifs that really make it feel ingrained in that world, and I love that so much.
The more I think about this, I go back to one of the original points you guys mentioned about how this is some people's that this is the Zelda they know. Like they don't really know of anything before it. And it is so interesting because this is nearly 10 years of the same world. So whenever they do introduce new characters or a new landscape, whether it's a new Hyrule or a new world entirely, it'd be so interesting to see the reactions to it.
Yeah.
Like this is all the franchise is to millions of people.
Yeah. It's going to be, I think it's going to be whiplash for a lot of folks because, for us, every Zelda game used to be completely different. That was kind of a major part of the series. And we'll be going back to that for the first time since, 2017. And for us, that's exciting. But I think for a lot of people, it'll be jarring.
I mean, I think even for people like us, like I was saying, when I was playing Age of Imprisonment over the weekend, I got this like sobering feeling. I'm like, you know what, man, I'm going to miss this. This has become so familiar to me as Zelda, and I'm looking forward and I'm excited about what's next and new. But I'm like, man, this version of Hyrule is so lived in now. I feel like I've just kind of gotten used to this world and lived in it for so long. I'm going to miss this if this is the end. And it probably is. And so, even for us olds who, were already old when Breath of the Wild came out and, are even older now that we're drawing to a close, it still kind of feels like whiplash to me. Like, oh, man, this really is it, probably. And then, of course, Nintendo could tomorrow say, hey, guess what? We're doing a third game. But I don't think they're going to do that.
It is interesting. You use the word lived in, which is interesting because it is a very lived in world. But like when you look at it, like it's also post Calamity. It's on the edge of destruction in a lot of ways. Like there aren't. It's not full of people. The towns feel like they're kind of holding on by a thread. So it'd be interesting. Maybe next time they'll make things a bit more robust and bustling. Maybe.
And that could have been a choice made because we were working with limited hardware.
Exactly.
True.
Yeah.
I'm really excited at that possibility. One of my favorite locales in all of Zelda history is Twilight Princess's version of Hyrule Castle Town.
Oh yeah, okay.
Because there are
Talk
just
about bustling.
there's so many people and so much stuff going on. There's little back alleyways and like weird pockets of the town there. I'm really excited at how far they could take that now that we have a little bit more horsepower. A lot more horsepower than Breath of the Wild when, that game was being developed.
Right.
And I think there's a possibility that the next 3D Zelda has already been in development for 2, maybe 3 years. The whole last year of Tears of the Kingdom's development cycle was them just polishing because they had extra time. And I'm like, well, they probably started the next project during that period.
Yeah, you wouldn't have Aonuma and Fujibayashi on polishing duty.
Yeah.
No,
maybe
for
overseeing, but they'd be on a different project for sure.
Tears of the Kingdom had a 5-year dev cycle? 6?
Something like that.
Yeah,
it's basically
6.
right after Breath of the Wild up until 2022, 3.
I wouldn't be surprised if we hear about Zelda as soon as next year.
Yeah, and Natalie's got a great point that the movie is going to be in 2027.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not that they've really lined Mario up with a whole lot of movie tie-ins. Like, Wonder was quite a while after the Mario movie, but it'd be the perfect time to strike with, a big Switch 2 game.
They've done more so with Galaxy, but those are also games that were already done.
Yeah, much easier.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I really don't think it'll be very long before we get to peer into the future of like big 3D Zelda, and as always, I'm really excited by that prospect.
And Switch 2 needs it. Switch 2 does need it. Like, I'm enjoying the Switch 2. I think that there's really great games, but it's also very much a little spin-off heavy, like Kirby Air Riders, Hyrule Warriors.
Right.
They're good games. We're enjoying them a lot, but I think we still need those, like, you must buy the system for these games kind of a tier, and that's Zelda.
Yeah, really the only one so far is DK, I guess.
DK and I guess Mario Kart.
Yeah, you could make arguments for Mario Kart, but DK is kind of it's the first new mainline entry in its series, especially for DK 3D and however many years since DK 64. So
we've thankfully got like Metroid Prime 4 coming up, but that's a cross-gen game.
Yeah.
So it still doesn't quite feel like a Switch 2 game. And I certainly don't want to knock it for that. I'm still excited to play it, but
no, these are all great games. Yeah,
yeah.
But exclusive Switch 2 exclusive Zelda would mean a lot more.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, and Switch 2 didn't have the benefit of having a Breath of the Wild at launch, even though it did have a Breath of the Wild at launch.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And a Tears of the Kingdom.
And I replayed it because of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree. I think Zelda is the missing link for, no pun intended.
Yeah.
For Switch 2. I think when people are talking about like big killer app, they're almost always talking about Zelda.
Right.
Yeah.
Because you have Metroid Prime 4, a major 3D Nintendo platformer, have come out. Yeah. If it's not Smash Brothers, it's Zelda.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Natalie also says she really hopes that Grezzo get the chance to flex an old school style 3D Zelda. I thought they might do that back on 3DS because we had Ocarina and then Majora.
Yeah.
I was like, what if these Secret of Mana talent developers Grezzo get to just make a third Zelda with the tools they have? But they didn't. But
that would be
capable.
So great if like the classic 3D Zelda experience got to live on through Grezzo.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say, is I am kind of like craving a pre-Breath of the Wild era 3D Zelda experience again. Like, I really hope that can continue to exist, maybe as a spin-off. It's not going to be the next mainline game, of course, but and maybe the Okami sequel will scratch that itch. Maybe that's what they're going to do because, Okami is basically my favorite pre-Breath of the Wild 3D Zelda game, and maybe they're going to go to that drawing board again. But if they don't, I really would like to see that kind of more linear, little wide linear guided experience continue to live on alongside the big open air grandiose Zelda that we're going to get from the next big mainline game. Will they allow that to happen? Who knows? But Grezzo would be the perfect, team to carry that on.
It won't be the core Zelda team. They've got their focus. They know what they're doing. But I think it would be wise to allow this to happen with a team like Grezzo.
For sure.
Yeah. We have our trust in Grezzo.
Yeah. Well, before we wrap up, I just want to pose the question to you guys really quickly. Is there anything setting-wise that you are hoping to see from the next game? Do you want to keep the more traditional fantasy-style setting that Zelda has lived in for so many years? Or, like we were talking about earlier, that Breath of the Wild concept art with going to space and alien-type stuff. Do you want a full sci-fi pivot, maybe, or something Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom do kind of dabble in sci-fi with the Sheikah and the Zonai technology. But, do you want to see, a full pivot to something we've never seen before in Zelda? Or do you want to kind of keep it a little bit grounded in Hyrule's kind of dark fantasy setting?
I want to pivot.
Yeah?
Yeah. I think after Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, we've had... they're not traditional Zelda worlds, but we've been in Hyrule for a while. And whenever you've been in Hyrule for a long time, it's always nice to shake it up, like with Termina. But also with Kirby, I am just bored of the regular Kirby Dreamland. I want to go other places. I want to have something very different with Kirby for basically every game now. And after so much
what
Hyrule,
Forgotten Land did?
Yeah, and I loved that. Yeah. So I would love for them to change the time period. That would definitely do something, whether it's going like really far into the future or whatever, or just go to somewhere that doesn't feel like Hyrule at all, but still has the core of Zelda's essence.
The place we go to could even be Hyrule, but like Hyrule that's in such a different state that it doesn't even look like itself. Yeah, I think I would also like a pivot. I love the whole wandering the wilderness and trying to survive and that whole thing, but we've done it twice now. And I don't think I really need to do it again. Eventually I'd like to, but right now I think is a good time to try something new. I don't know if I want it to be like all sci-fi-y, because I feel like we just got 2 games of that. One even more so. So I'm curious what they could try or what they could do. Zelda, the last 2 Zeldas didn't really have a whole lot of underwater happening, and
True.
I'd be curious to see what they do there. Also, Link in space is appealing to me for some reason.
Yeah,
for sure.
They've got to make it even sexier. Breath of the Wild had a hint of sexy, and I think everyone loved having a little bit of sexy in there.
Yeah.
Got to go further.
You can never go amiss with a little bit of sexy, yeah.
Tears of the Kingdom kind of really drive the sexy home.
They knew what they were doing with Ganondorf, yeah.
Oh,
but
yeah.
I think we can go
Sure
further. We can go further.
Is that flying too close to the sun, though? We might be,
It's not close enough.
Not close enough.
No.
Gotcha. Well, that seems like a good as note as any to end things on. Is there anything else you guys want to touch on about the future of Zelda before we wrap up?
Let's get into more specifics about how sexy they can get.
Yes. All right.
So
Yeah. Of course.
Wow.
Yeah. All right. Well, on that note, thank you all so much for watching. This has been so fun to discuss the potential future of Zelda. As always, if you love what we do here, please do like and subscribe. And we also have a Patreon at patreon.com/gvgaming. We have a couple of different tiers you can join us at, especially if you want to join our live audience and participate with us, discussions in these live, just as you've seen us doing so far. We'd love that. But otherwise, we'll see you next time, and thanks so much. Take care, everybody. Bye.
Bye.